Hi everyone, I'm going to do some frame prep work I think tonight. Start stripping this frame, get it ready for powder coating. So I'll crack on and then just show any points of interest as I go along. So I thought I'd just show you this bit. So all these cables that you can see here have obviously been stripped out. They've been stripped out of this area. So what I'll do is, I think best practice is to keep as many of the connections connected to the fuse box. And obviously it goes up the main wiring loom to the, obviously it goes to the ignition pack just here. So basically I'll try and keep as many connections together as possible and leave the wiring loom as complete as possible. Although everything will be redone, none of these wires will be reused at all, but at least then it might give us some understanding of when we're going to so when we rebuild this or rewire it, it might just help me out at certain stages, pulling this old wiring loom out to have a quick look. But I'm not really keeping tabs of what was to what. Obviously I've got photos and diagrams and stuff like that. The main reason is because everything's going to be done from scratch anyway. So when the frame is sat here freshly powder coated, absolutely bare, whatever goes back onto it will be thought out from scratch, in terms of where I'll mount it, what sort of wires, what sort of electrical components are going to go back onto it. So I'm only going to use certain things as a reference. So I'm not going to get too bogged down into where did this come from, where did that come from, because it's not like I'm going to be rebuilding it using any of this. So, but obviously best practice, as everyone knows, is to have a rough idea, maybe some photos and footage to where things were before, so when you are rebuilding when you are rebuilding it, it gives you a bit of a clue. But that's the beauty about doing this from scratch is well, that's the thing, it'll be from scratch, so we can make it as good or bad as we go along. So on this bit, I have just took out.
Hello.
Say hello. Your screwdriver. So what I've just done is I've just took this out, which lives just there. So as you can see, that's where it lives. So this won't be going back in. I think, from what I can see, from what a lot of people do, they basically have the electric somewhere else. I suppose they kind of make them a lot neater, and we end up with this gap, don't we, Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always think motorbike.
So that's just one thing to show. Is obviously all the electrics and everything went in the electric tray. Oh yeah, very good. So that will be getting left out, I think. Let me just flip this round. So that'll be getting left out of that tray. Yeah, obviously, I think aesthetically it looks a lot better when that tray's not in, and the electrics are maybe hidden a bit more. I think some people run a total loss system, so I'll have to look into that. Although I do want a ignition start, to be honest. I'm quite happy to kick bikes, but then again, I'd rather have ignition where I can just.
I'm going to get my bike car.
Okay, you're working on your bike, are you? Okay. So yeah, that box has come out. So as I said before, this wiring loom can now go through there. I'm trying to keep that wiring loom together as much as possible, just so I've got wires everywhere. But as you can see, that's the bulk of the wiring out already. So yeah, I'll get on with that now. I'll get on with taking this these bits out the front. So I've got my my coil pack there, I believe, for my 2 spark plug cables. Here's the ignition system. So I'll take all these electrics off next.
They're at the back.
But yeah, you can see that the electrics now are right at the front now. So
Yeah.
we'll
They do
stop.
go at the front.
They do go at the front, don't they? You don't want to be on the film, aren't you?
And at short, we're at the back.
It does, doesn't it? This is my son Harry. So how old are you, Harry? 5.
I was 1, 2, 3. Then I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm 5 now.
You're now 5. You
Then
are.
I'll be 6.
And you're learning a lot about motorbikes and stuff in Daddy's workshop, aren't you? So, so yeah. So let's get on with
Cars.
and cars. So let's get on with taking all this gumph out now, and yeah, I suppose you're up to the handlebars then.
Oh, I see what's something more like. I'll put me in there. I found a bit of oil on there. Red silver oil. I found some silver oil in it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, look. That look.
You're cutting new tread into your tyres. Very advanced skills.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I know it.
So the next place that there's quite a lot of electrics is behind the headlight on this. It looks like some of the cabling from maybe the rest of the main wiring loop goes behind the headlight for some switches and bits and bobs and some hand controls and stuff. So I'll just show you that now. Oh, lovely. At dinner. Just like come and sit over here, then you'd be out of the way and safe then. Probably just have it on the floor, mate. It's clean on the floor. Save you falling off the seat. So basically behind this, it's loads of electrics. So you can just see them just up there. So the electrics actually live inside the back of the headlight. So what I'll do is, I'll take the headlight off. And then I'll be able to see the rest of the electrics then. Well, basically we're up to this point now. You can see the wiring loom is on the floor now, completely free of the bike. So the bike's looking pretty bare now in terms of wiring. So we're getting there. So let's get this headlight off, and yeah, like I say, most of those electrics are going to be discarded anyway. So. So as you can see, the wiring going in the back here, and you can see it's for things like, you know, the speedo, yeah, a few other switches. This light here, which is just like a, that's the main beam light actually. So it's just like, you know, bits and bobs like that. I don't 100% know actually what's all bunged in here. There's some bits, you know, like the, that was an indicator switch I think, so. Obviously, when I redo all this, I'll have to think of where all this is going to go. I'll have to think about where this is going to go. So I may end up using the original headlight, or I may not. I probably won't do because, well, it looks horrible. But it has got space for storage. So I don't know whether the aftermarket headlights come like that. I'll probably end up putting all the electric somewhere else. Come up with a solution, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But yeah, so just to give you a bit of a insight into where a lot of the electrics are, which is the front headlight. So here is the wiring loom, completely off the bike. So as you can see, you've got obviously the wiring in the headlight that was mainly going to the controls, the handlebars, like, you know, switches. I think that was actually feeding the ignition with power. We've got the ignition pack there actually, so that wasn't for that. And then we've got obviously the fuse box that the battery was all attached to. So it's not a massive wiring loom, or makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'm sure it did to somebody or various people throughout the 45 years of this bike, whatever it is, 1979. So yeah, that's basically it. Wiring loom's off. So we've got much better understanding of what the frame is all about. You can see everything now. So I think the next thing I'll do now is probably get everything, make sure everything's ready, so I can take, Harry, just be quiet a minute. So basically what I can do is I will take the handlebars off and get it in a certain way where I can basically just drop the front end out complete, and you know, I won't strip the wheels or anything like that just yet. Same for the rear, obviously take the shocks off. And yeah, the swing arm will have to be taken off. So we'll get on and see what we can do now, just to get it ready. So when I've got a bit of help, probably from my dad or someone, we can get the front end off and the back end off. So we're left with hopefully just a frame. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to take the rear brake system off, the brake cylinder.
I know what brake system. Brake system how to move.
Well, brakes, the brake cylinder is what
I
puts
know.
the power to the caliper.
Both to the double. Me and Daddy are fitting my motorbike, and I got motorbike. It's really new. Daddy motorbike is old one.
My motorbike is really old, isn't it?
Yeah. Daddy might have really old one. I know how to fit mine, and we got new racing car. Daddy got a racing car and I got a racing car, but not Mummy. I got 3 racing cars. Say, look.
You showed everyone your stuff?
Yeah. Look. They got mine. New car. I'm not big enough for that. I'm a big enough. And then it's red and white and silver and blue and red. And then we got a digger thing on. Dig the full digger mud. Good? And Daddy got a new ass. Ouch.
You okay?
That was that.
You hit the chair with your finger?
Yeah. That's it. And Daddy got a new shoe watch. Daddy to buy me. Let me see my bike. I'll see my bike.
So on this stage of the strip down, I'm basically going to take the top yoke off. So I've undone that bolt and this bolt just here and this one at the back. All the connections are off. So you can see from this angle, this bit here, I'm just going to undo this big nut here and then all of this will come off. So basically it will leave me with the 2 big nuts that are holding the bearings in place. So I'll take the top yoke off and then that will give me a good starting point for just dropping the front end out then. The rear end got one side of the suspension off. It's like a mono shot. So when I was riding this bike, I always felt the front end headstock was like, you know, really worn or something. So I thought, you know, maybe it's, you know, it's like 40 odd years old, so it's to be expected. But it's because it was loose. So I've just took the top yoke off, and yeah. I suppose that doesn't help with the situation. There's literally just probably slopping around, so no wonder why it felt a bit loose on the front end. But I suppose that's the one of the reasons why I'm doing this project, is to make sure it all goes back together as it should and it's safe. So, because you never know the history with these bikes. So unless you do a nut and bolt rebuild, you never know how safe it really is, I suppose. But it's going to come out in a minute. The rear end's going to come out, that's it. So there's no weight to it really. So all I need you to do is now is basically just lift this up, maybe from the middle or something, and then I can lower it down. What? So keep going, keep going.
Oh fuck.
So you just watch. So I can go down now.
Oh fuck you. Huh?
So that's it. We've got the the bike frame totally stripped. So that's the frame and the subframe. So let's have a quick look. So as you can see, the frame is completely bare of electrics or components now. I wouldn't say there's any tricky bits to what I've done. It's all pretty much straightforward. The frame, as you can see, is absolutely straight. There's no bends in it. It's you know, no damage on it from what I can see, no cracks. Obviously I'll know a lot more once we've had it stripped of the paint. But overall, really pleased with the frame. Doesn't look like it's had any work done before. Got my VIN plate I'll take off, my chassis number plate. So that's it really. That's ready for stripping. And I suppose the next video will be once the frame's sat there powder coated. So the only things to note on it is I will have certain things taken off. There's certain things on the frame down here to do with the excuse me, to do with the centre stand. So I'll have those probably removed. I think it might be these, I can't remember now. But anything that's unnecessary on the frame to what I want, I'll have removed, and we'll make sure that the frame's up to scratch, all nicely blasted off, and anything that needs smoothing over will smooth over as well, before it goes off powder coating. So hopefully not too long now we'll have a frame that's freshly done, and I'll show you that once that's done. And then obviously we've got the engine here behind us, so I'm waiting for the crank to come back still, and loads of bearings and seals and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully I can get the frame done before the engine bits come back, so I can have the frame sat there nicely ready to take the engine in once the engine's been built up. I'll do it as a rolling chassis before the engine goes in. So obviously it's easy to handle. So yeah, I'll do more videos as to come. So, alright, see you soon.